The College Football Experience Week 1 DFS show for Saturday night, Friday night, and Sunday, and our Thursday night college football reaction show on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by our very own Patreon. Score exclusive perks, content, and contests, including our NFL win totals contest with a $1,000 prize. Join today at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes, Underdog Fantasy is offering you a chance to win $15 million in prizes with Best Ball Mania 4. Use the promo code SGPN at Underdog Fantasy for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. We're also brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app now. Use the promo code SGP. New customers can score $200 in bonus bets instantly when they bet just $5 on any college football bet. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with the promo code SGP. We're also brought to you by our own College Football Bankroll Challenge. Up to $3,000 are up for grabs. Yes, with us. Get all the details over at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/bankroll. And remember, as always, to let it ride.
Hey, everybody. Joe Theismann here. You're listening to SGPN. So do this. Let it ride.
Yes. Welcome to the College Football Experience Week 1 DFS show and Thursday night college football reaction show. We got a lot to talk about. We have, even during the season, there is conference realignment news. You can't escape it these days. You just can't escape. We're trying hard as like, no, stop. But it keeps pouring through. We're going to talk all about it. And shout out to the chat. Ike B's already rolling along. Shout out to Ike B. But before we get on to, you're probably wondering just who the hell you're listening to. And that's fair. My name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, a.k.a. Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
I'm probably drinking too much and celebrating too much and not sleeping. Would have killed a normal man, but no, that's gone. The medical advice I got from that was like being hit by lightning. Pretend it never happened and get on with your life.
I mean, Stanford and Cal are like, hey, Pac-10 never existed. Kind of like Pac-8, Pac-12 never existed. Just pretend it never happened. We're all in this all-coast conference, all right? Shout out to Ike. He says, Longwood football going to the ACC. Potentially. No, that's too close. You're going to the Big 12. Start your football program, Longwood. We will. We support that. Come on. What are they, the Lancers? Let's go. I am joined by the DFS god himself. Come play. We invite you to come play DFS. Follow this guy's page at NC__NICK. And you'll see the invite right there. Give it up for the rooftop IPA drinking, home brew making, Tobacco Road living, the free lock giving, former Herndon Basketball League MVP. Give it up for NC Nick in the place to be.
There we go, man. What's going on?
I mean,
maybe we can have Ike be in the chat confirm if that audio on the music's a little off. Seemed a little low on my end at least, but either way.
Okay. Well, I'll turn it up. I was on a show last night, so maybe it was loud there and I turned it down. Certainly possible. We got news first before we talk about anything. The Atlantic Coast Conference. Especially if you love college basketball, which we do. They just added juggernauts. Cal, Stanford, and SMU. No, but honestly,
I think
Cal-
SMU's been the best one over the last 3 years.
True. They made the tournament. Larry Brown, right?
Yeah.
I think they maybe made the tournament twice. But Stanford went to the Final Four with Brevin Knight. You got that. Mark Madsen, Brevin Knight era.
Been a couple years.
Lamont Murray.
Been a few years.
And I actually like the new Cal hire. I keep wanting to say Mark Madsen. I think that that's going to be good for Cal basketball. For football, you're an ACC guy, NC Nick. This is a move that I actually think, as much as I hate it, I think they had to do it.
That's what it sounded like.
NC State was the one that flipped, like the little bitches they always are, right? No, I mean, NC State, I'm glad they read the tea leaves because I was shocked. I was like, NC State's just going to follow North Carolina to their own demise because let me tell you something. The SEC and Big Ten weren't going to be calling NC State right away. It was going to be, so they were going to end up, in a situation, in my opinion, that would be very similar to Oregon State.
Potentially.
Had they not came to their senses. But now you have these three teams. I guess I'm somewhat excited that we can at least now have the Cal Stanford game on the final game of the season because before Notre Dame was just all sloppy. Like the way that,
as long as the ACC doesn't fuck that up too, which is possible. Who knows?
Yeah.
But overall, I'm not happy with this at all. But I'm not happy with any of the realignment stuff. And to have those teams in the ACC, tell me like 3 or 4 years ago that this would happen. I would say you're crazy. But ultimately, if that's what the ACC has to do to stay relevant, to stay as a P5, and who knows, in a couple of years, maybe Florida State leaves, maybe Clemson follows, maybe UNC, who knows? So I guess you had to add a few. Personally, I would have preferred UConn, Memphis, teams that are still kind of in the same geography.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess maybe even Tulane, but
ECU,
whatever. I don't know about that. ECU is destined for the Sun Belt, buddy. But apparently the ACC had to do something, so I guess it's the right move, is what the experts are saying. Are we the experts?
No, I actually believe it's the right move because let's say Florida State and Clemson are really still going to leave, then you still have a sustainable conference, and it adds that late night television window, where you can schedule basketball and football games, the only sports that make money with West Coast games. So you could have Clemson playing at Cal, and that will draw a good number to rival the Big Ten. And
I'm not looking forward to watching Duke games that start at 11 o'clock. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Have they ever cared about the fan in this shit? Have they ever cared about the fan? That's the sad part about it is.
Nor do they care about the student athletes.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, but look, I'm trying to be optimistic. I know I listen to myself back on some of these podcasts, and I'm always so negative. I think I'm an optimist by nature, though. I believe I'm an optimist.
Okay.
And
all right.
I'm trying to be optimistic. If you can't have Stanford Cal are going to play each other at least. What? Let's go one by one here because what new rivalry would you be looking forward the most for let's pick one for each school, but I can tell you, I want to open up with a banger.
Okay.
I have long lobbied. Florida State plays Florida the final game of the season every year. And the ACC has this, like 3 or 4 teams play the SEC team.
Right. Louisville, Kentucky, Clemson, South Carolina, Georgia Tech, Georgia.
And Florida State, Florida.
Yeah.
Ever since Notre Dame got on their high horse and didn't want to play Miami, Miami hasn't really had a rival the final week. And I've said that they should make it happen with UCF, right? I still believe that even right now. Like UCF, Miami should be the rivalry, the last game of the season. But if that doesn't happen, you have to pick an ACC foe.
SMU.
Oh, yes, that is perfect.
Makes a lot of sense.
Both spend a shit ton of money on football. I mean, both boosters that are just gigantic. Dude, did you see what, I know a lot of people, I was watching like this SEC show this morning about they're just dumbfounded that the ACC would grab Stanford and Cal. George W. Bush, the George W. Bush.
It's easy to see a tide turn.
and Condoleezza Rice, who just stays in college football news somehow, right? Were the deal breakers behind this.
It's baffling as to why they would get involved or why they would care. I know Condoleezza Rice has ties to Stanford. Does W to SMU other than being from Texas? His wife.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So they dialed up the big shots and they said, hey, and Cal got lucky enough, got a pass because of their alliance with Stanford.
And to have a partner out west too, which makes some sense. I mean, but also going back to SMU Miami, just recently, Rhett Lashley, the coach of SMU, just came over from Miami where he was OC. So a lot of things are aligning there. I like where your head's at.
Well, and he brought like 30 players from Miami. So I love the potential of this as a rivalry game. I could just see the boosters just talking shit to each other. It could be fantastic. And I'll be honest, I am excited about SMU as a Power 5. I thought, college football really did them dirty. A lot of people, I think they don't know the full story on SMU during when the NCAA threw the book at them. I thought it was very, very confusing to me, like how we can, penalize them while everyone else is doing the same thing. And that's why I love the fact that they can get a shot of getting some of this money now. I know that for the first 7 years, they don't even want $1.
Well, that brings up another point, which I can't stand, because I've been seeing people on Twitter, on ESPN and stuff saying, does it set a bad precedent having SMU basically buy their way into the Power 5? And I'm like, this is college football, damn it.
Yeah.
Things have been being bought in college football since it was an infant, since its infancy.
Yeah.
Players have been bought. Coaches have been bought. Come on. What?
That's
SMU can't buy things too?
Yeah, no, that's you can read and see people that don't know the history of the fucking sport.
Yeah.
They just don't know the history of the fucking sport. They don't know what they're talking about. Is it right if SMU does it? Get the fuck out of here. College athletics is all like that, right?
Does it set a bad precedent?
Yeah.
What the hell are you talking about, man?
Now, I will say this. I know Notre Dame, who also helped in, and I still say, fuck you, Notre Dame, because you're sitting there pressuring the ACC schools to add Stanford and Cal, not even SMU. But I will say this. If we can't have Catholics versus convicts, I'm also open to a Notre Dame SMU season ender.
Catholics versus Methodists.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
That could be a lot of fun.
I guess maybe that could be more of a basketball rivalry, because obviously they're not going to play every year in football. But
well, I mean,
potential.
Maybe you could do it. They play Stanford and USC every year. Maybe you can make a permanent rival in the conference.
I don't think it's going to happen, but maybe.
Yeah.
And I think the ACC kind of saves Notre Dame for like big games, which, hey, maybe SMU's on the come up. Maybe that will be a big game in 5 years.
I see GBO Farms talking about like SMU has the potential to be like, TCU. To me, or maybe even more. I think they have more money at their exposure than TCU. It's going to be fascinating to watch that. Now, okay, so we've picked that rival. Other than Stanford Cal playing each other, what would Stanford's best rivalry be? Would it be Duke? Would it be Wake Forest maybe?
I think you have to look at schools, with academic prestige. Virginia and Duke kind of come to mind. Georgia Tech potentially, but Georgia Tech's kind of a little too southern for those guys. So I think UVA and Duke probably make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I could see Virginia, Stanford, just complete pussy bull. And then I've thought about this Cal one, Cal Syracuse, because you got the upstate New York hippies against the hippies in Berkeley. This is perfect.
There is a lot of upstate New York hippies too.
There is. It's a low-key hippie spot.
Very true.
Yeah, people don't think about it.
And a lot of upstate New Yorkers have moved down to the Carolinas, so I've witnessed it a lot firsthand. A lot of like
the hippie bowl. I'm gonna just crown it right now. The hippie bowl is Cal Syracuse. Make it happen every year, ACC.
Is there any other hippier teams than Syracuse in the ACC? Maybe not.
I think they're the most hippie team. I think.
All right, I'm sold. I mean, I'm not excited. I'm not excited for Cal Syracuse, but I guess it makes sense.
I don't think anybody's excited about Cal and Syracuse. Not even
Nor is Cal or Syracuse excited for that.
All right. That concludes. I guess we still have Oregon State, Washington State, and the AAC did announce that they're going to keep it regional. They're not interested in adding Oregon State and Washington State,
So they're
which
Mountain
basically
West.
means either the Mountain West schools join into the Pac-2, or they. I think it's more likely that they jump into the Mountain West and they just take a huge hit.
Yeah,
But
is this the final nail in the Pac-12 coffin?
Yes, and I think. But let me ask you this: the Mountain West would easily be the best group of 5 then, because AAC loses SMU. Mountain West gains Oregon State and Washington State to Oregon State's already in the top 25, but I feel like they have a very promising future as long as Jonathan Smith's there. And I think Wazoo's a good football program. So,
I think those two are obvious rivals for each other now.
Yeah.
I don't think you have to look for other rivals within the Mountain West if that's ultimately what happens. I think they're each other's rivals.
16 Ohm says Stanford would get rocked in the ACC. I don't know that that's true.
I don't know. Oh, dude, Boston College. What about that? That could be a Stanford BC or no, maybe it. Yeah.
Cal BC.
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I'm still not very excited about this. I am excited to talk some games and talk some DFS, though.
Yes. And before we do that, though, I want to tell you that the college football experience is brought to you by the College Football Bankroll Challenge. Yes, college football is back, and it's time to celebrate with SGPN because we're giving away a whole shitload of cash in our College Football Bankroll Challenge. It's free to enter. It's a season-long contest. Don't be a pussy. $1,000 for first place, $500 for second place, but the prize doubles to $2,000 for first place and $1,000 for second place if you're a patron, if you're a SGP Patreon member for the college football season. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/bankroll or click the link in the app, which is free to download in the App Store and Google Play Store. That is the SGPN app. We're also brought to you by DraftKings. College football fans, are you fully prepped for week 1? We got the week 0 appetizer. All right. We got another little appetizer last night. Right. We're just stuffing ourselves. It's like being at a wedding. Just you're waiting for the damn wedding to start. You just sitting over
the shrimp cocktail. Now you had some jalapeno poppers.
Yeah. Anything they're bringing out, you're just grabbing some of that shit. Right. Look, DraftKings Sportsbook is hooking you up with a can't-miss offer to start the season strong. This week, new customers can bet just $5 on any college football bet and score $200 in bonus bets. Anything can happen in college football. Your team can go from unranked to dynasty mode in just a couple of years. Change comes fast. The only thing that is a lock these days is the great offers from DraftKings Sportsbook. I told you, give me the Buffs plus 21 against TCU all day. Jump in there. Life's more fun when you're in on the action. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app right now. Use the promo code SGP. New customers can score $200 in bonus bets instantly when they bet just $5 on any college football bet. Only on the DraftKings Sportsbook with the promo code SGP. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. All right, we are back on the College Football Experience DFS show. We have a DFS lineup we're giving away for Friday, Saturday morning, Saturday night, Sunday, and we will post our Monday via our Twitter account at TCE on SGPN and at NC__NICK. But first, we got to recap. We have ball games. We had just a fire slate. I mean, your boy Dundee is on an incredible heater right now. An incredible heater.
Tell me about it.
I haven't really got any games wrong starting week 1.
What's your total ATS record so far?
Well, let's go game by game here. I want to hit on the fact that every single one that I bet, I have hit.
And I will say last night, I was 4-0 on the FBS versus FBS games. I was 4-0 ATS, 4-0 straight up, 3-1 totals. So I had a pretty nice little Thursday evening myself.
Yeah. And shout out to Richie Mo says, you guys think Jalen Daniels plays tonight? I do. He played in the Bulls. Yeah.
He better play.
Let's talk about it because we started off with the bang. First off, I mean, shout out to Eastern Illinois holding it down against their rivals, Indiana State, who Indiana State came in as a double-digit favorite. Eastern Illinois basically had 3 pick sixes, 2 that went for touchdown, 1 where the guy got tackled at the 1-yard line. Woo! Watch out.
What were they catching again? Like 16 or
11,
something?
11 half, I think.
We were all over that.
Yeah. Rivalry game, Eastern Illinois putting the kibosh on Indiana State. I was all over that. Then we jumped over to Kent State UCF, and me and NC Nick locked this thing up. If you listen to our Wednesday night show, we bet the hell out of this. And I'll be honest, first half, I was a little bit, when Plumbing threw a pick like up 21-6 maybe, or 21-3, I was like, are they going to, they might call the dogs off in the second half. He threw a pick in the end zone too. So it was like.
Right. And even before we get there, I also bet UCF -7.5 first quarter. And that was a little bit of a sweat there, not expecting. I mean, when UCF went down right down the field, the opening drive, scored with ease, I was like, all right, we're good. But then, I think there was that long pass. It was like an 875-yard pass, got called back and everything. So I had to sweat out that first quarter bet a little bit. But eventually, what happened was exactly like we predicted. I think I said like 55-6.
Yeah,
or 52-6. I was damn close to this line, or the final score.
Yeah,
but we pegged this one.
Yeah, we should pull it up. Noah, if you're listening to this, look for that clip because we're pretty spot on. I think I said 7 for Kent State, not 6. So UCF looking fantastic. Western Michigan did beat St. Francis. They actually kind of struggled with St. Francis, but in a way, St. Francis was an FCS playoff team a year ago. They look better than what we thought.
They covered, I think, right? Wasn't that line 14?
Oh, we got dude. We didn't miss anything. Like, I don't understand why you're listening to other college football podcasts. All right, I really don't. I'm like, okay, Rhode Island, Georgia State. We hammered Rhode Island plus 16. Rhode Island almost won this game last night, and one of the most questionable first down spots I've ever seen. So it was a fourth. Georgia State went for a 4th and 1 with to basically end the game. Rhode Island had no more timeouts. Minute and a half left. If they get the first down, game's over. In real play, I didn't think he got it. Now, then they pull out the first down markers, and on the first look, it looks like he was short by like an inch. Right? So Rhode Island's defense starts celebrating. Then they decide to bring the first down marker out again, right? They bring it out a second time. And the ref, I've never seen this before. I really, folks, if you have ESPN Plus, you can watch this on demand. Just go to the very end. The ref basically grabs it and goes past where it should be. So you're like, okay, it's definitely not. And then he drags it back. So it looks like it's stretched out over 10 yards. And then he drags it back so that Georgia State gets the first down. Like it was very questionable. I'll put it like that. Even the announcer goes, I've never seen that before, where the ref purposely moves back the chain.
Interesting.
Either way, Georgia State survives a scare. NC Nick, Sean Elliott, it's a big year for him. That was not the most encouraging.
No, they gave up over 400 yards in the air to Kasim Hill, quarterback for Rhode Island. That doesn't bode well for once they get into Sun Belt play, or if you look at their schedule here. Next week they play UConn, and UConn struggled to pass the ball mightily last night.
Yeah, NC State's got one of the best secondaries in America.
Yeah, that's fair. So, but no, overall, Georgia State, not impressive. I mean, the defense looks bad. I think offensively they could do a few things, but they were playing Rhode Island also. So I don't think you can always count on that offense to come through. So, yeah, I think that coach might get fired here at some point this season.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I like UConn. Wake Forest, Mitch Griffith's era begins, and I know we're already 23 minutes late. We got to fire away here. Wake Forest looked okay. Griffiths looked good. Elon, FCS playoff team a year ago, they win by 20. NC State, UConn. See, this is the one I was puzzled by. So many people were on NC State. I don't get it. Did they watch UConn last year? Like, UConn
have they watched NC State in the last decade?
Yeah, the last 40 years. I'm baffled by how many other platforms were just like, hey, yeah, we're all over NC State. I'm like, what?
There was a point there where I thought NC State might add on one more touchdown and cover. So it wasn't a slam dunk all the way through.
Dude, that 4th and goal, Brennan Armstrong. Yeah. Now, if that defender wasn't an idiot, and just kind of tackle the wideout, that ball was not going to be complete. And you're just sitting there like, what are you doing? Like, dude, UConn could have. That was a pretty close game, I would say.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, the second half, NC State definitely owned. Other than the long run, that UConn offense did pretty much nothing in the whole
But
second
I
half.
would also say like UConn's defense bottled up NC State pretty damn well.
Yeah. No, that was game one for an eye at NC State, so I think things will get better. The O-line didn't look great, but I like some of the young playmakers State has. So I think with a little more experience, they'll just continue to improve.
And young, you mean 8th year Rodney Roser?
Now I was talking about Concepcion, the true freshman receiver who flashed some big play potential, I thought.
Yeah, look, we're on the NC State over. That was a huge win for us because if we would have lost that would have been like, eh.
Yep.
And
once again, I mean, not to pat ourselves on the back again, but it kind of, I had NC State money line, I had UConn covering, and I kind of thought it would be about a 10 to 13 point win.
Yeah, no, I even thought like anywhere from 7 to 14. I got 14.5, so I was like, oh, I'm all over this. Florida, Utah. Let's talk about this because you look at the stat sheet, Graham Mertz, 300 and some yards. This guy's incredible. Florida, they just weren't impressive. You know what I mean? And Utah was on their 3rd and 4th string starting quarterback. They shuffled both of them. They also missed 12 players out. I think 8 starters and 12 players that were key contributors did not play for the Utah Utes. That's substantial. And I thought, this is another example, and I tweeted this. Teams are 8 and 18. SEC teams are 8 and 18 while playing at Pac-12 schools since the year 2000. And this isn't a shot necessarily directed towards the SEC. It's directed towards, to me, the conferences that play the less amount of road games.
Yeah.
And that's traditionally, the teams that play 8-game conference schedules. Were you surprised that the outcome and how it panned out? I know we were both on Utah.
Yeah, and we could have jumped ship when all that injury news, came out Wednesday evening, I think, or maybe Thursday morning. But no, we stayed true to Utah. We said, trust Utah at Rice Eccles, trust their defensive line, which dominated. They had a ton of sacks. I don't know how many. I think they had 3 sacks in the first half.
I know our boy with SGPN, the doc, was saying Florida's a top 15 offensive line. I said, what?
He's a Florida fan, okay? That's like you saying ECU is going to beat Michigan come Saturday, all right? So, but you just see like a much better overall team. Like their punter on Utah was money. Their field goal kicker was better than the Gators kicker. Their O-line was better. Their D-line was better. You name it. And then to have the home field advantage on top of it. And I forgot that I had made like a bet in July, which was Utah -9. So I was going through my book. I was like, oh, yeah, I did make that bet. And I was a little worried about that. I still thought Utah would cover 4 or 5, but I still hit on Utah -9 for where that line was earlier in the summer. So I was kind of happy to see Utah win.
Won by double digits. And look, that's like I said, 18 times out of 26 when they've come west. They've lost by double digits. I'm telling you, there's something to it, man.
Hey, GDO Farms, he's in the chat too.
Yeah, it's disgusting rooting for Florida. What the fuck is wrong with you, buddy? All right,
we love you.
Yeah, no, we do love you, but at the same time, like I'll never understand that. Like, okay, I grew up a Colorado fan. Guess what? I was really happy to see last night. Nebraska lose, especially the way they lost. Fucking hilarious. All right.
And you have my word. I will never root for the North Carolina Tar Heels.
Yeah. There's just certain things you can't do. So Nebraska, Minnesota, awesome game. In my opinion, thank God the Big Ten West. Wisconsin, you're trying to you're trying to fuck this up. All right.
The quarterback play was so bad.
So perfect. So perfect.
This game sucked, man. Nobody wanted to win. You can't even argue it was really good defense. It was just awful quarterback play. I mean, the defense was solid on both sides.
Best game of the night. It was a lot of fun. And it came down to the final play of the game. What more do you want? What more do you want? All right. Especially they had Minnesota score 10 unanswered in the final. They had a 4th and 10 conversion with an awesome fucking catch for a touchdown.
That was a hell of a catch by, was that Crooms? No, it was Jackson.
Jackson. Minnesota, this was huge because I was on the over with Minnesota and the under with Nebraska. And I was like, wait, if Nebraska wins this, it's probably going to fuck up my I know it's week 1, but
And I think, I mean, we were both on Nebraska +7, and I said that I don't think the talent level, I don't think Minnesota has that much more talent than Nebraska. If watching that game, I would say Nebraska's actually the more talented team.
Maybe Jeff Sims, man. I don't know moving forward. I don't know.
I don't know about the Greek pellet gun either. Okay.
No, but I think I came away more impressed with him
really
than I did Sims.
A couple of those interceptions. I mean, geez, it's like, are you a freshman, Jeff Sims?
I was watching it with CJ Sullivan. Shout out to the Bottom Line Bob's podcast. I'm sitting there watching. He has Nebraska on the money line right before the first half, and I go, they did get robbed of a touchdown at the 1 yard line, but then the very next play, I'm not gonna sit there and say they lost because of that, because you get a false start at the fucking 1 yard line the next play, and now you're back at the 6 yard line. And I said, I told CJ, I was like, just don't throw a pass with Sims. All right, like, what do you do here? I was like, you throw a pass with Sims, anything but a fade. I said, just throw a fade, isolation though, where the rest of the defense is not there. I mean, and if it's not there, he throws it away.
It goes without saying, like, you have to throw that ball where only your guy can catch it, or it's overthrown. Do not underthrow that pass, whatever you do. And that's exactly what he did.
At quarterback for the past 3 years. There's no excuse for this.
No,
there's no excuse for this.
He looks like a true freshman out there,
dude. And then in the late fourth quarter, when they get the ball back, he completes a pass over the middle, and it was funny because Real Money Kramer came there and he goes, "Oh, he's not that bad. That's a nice pass." And I go, watch. He's going to feel confident about it. That's going to get him confident. He's going to throw that pass again. And sure enough, 2 plays later, fires it right in there, picked off, and the Minnesota Golden Gophers win. What a fucking game. We were both on Nebraska +7.5 or 7, whatever that number was when we gave it away on the show. Also, Trent Dilfer got the dub. It looked good. Tulsa beat the hell out of Arkansas Pine Bluff. We were good there. I was surprised Missouri didn't look as good as I thought.
Yeah. What was that line? 30?
That line was, I didn't actually bet this, but
me neither.
27.5.
Okay, so they did not cover.
It did not cover. That would be the one game we got incorrect, right? We also hit on what was that UAB line? Campbell, William, and Mary we hit on.
Yeah.
UAB, we got, it was 24.
Okay, so they covered that. Yeah. And we were on Southern Utah covering Arizona State.
Well, let's talk about that, because I don't know if you saw me tweet out.
Too late. I didn't watch this one.
Well, this was a huge lightning delay, so I don't feel like even the Arizona State fans, it was like pouring rain for like 3 hours, and then the lightning. So they restarted the game at like 1 a.m. Pacific time or something, but they almost damn near lost this game. This was 21-21 in the fourth. One of the worst calls. I tweeted this. You should see this.
I didn't see it yet. I'll check it out.
Great block. Southern Utah has like a 60-yard pass or a 40-yard pass where a receiver gives a block that I thought was a great block, and I don't think it was a blindside block. I think if you look back at it, it's not a blindside block. And then also, they kicked him out of the game. So not only do you take back a 40-yard play, they said it was unnecessary, kicked him out of the game. It's so far, that is the worst call of the season.
I can't stand those ejections. Like, all right, if you want to give him 15-yard penalty for a questionable call, okay. I mean, you can come back from a 15-yard penalty, but to eject all these players, I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, they need to fix that. And once again, they don't care about the players. Southern Utah, watch out in the UAC. And I'm telling you, Arizona State, I got concerns. And we were all over that, though. I thought that was going to be a game. I really believed. I know Moneyline Mac hit me up and was like, dude, you really believe Southern Utah can cover this? I was like, dude, I don't think they can cover it. I think they might be a live dog.
Yeah.
And it almost came true. So, all right. That was Thursday night. A lot of fun. Shout out to Zach Kilgore. Missed you guys. I missed you from the college basketball season. There we go. Shout out to Zach. Let's jump into this. So tonight we have
hold on. Before tonight, let's do a quick rundown of the winners. So last Saturday, early slate, our guy Jamie HOV won. Patty C came in second. He beat me by 0.4 of a point to get in the money. I know. I'm surprised we didn't hear from Patty. The main slate, Jamie HOV won again, that son of a bitch. And second place was AKA Badger. Last night, DTF 04021. He was the only person I believe that rostered Taysom Hill. I'm surprised you didn't, buddy.
You know what I thought was going to work out? Minnesota's run game against Nebraska's defensive line. That did not. That backfired. Even though the biggest play of the game was a Sean Tyler 11-yard run. But
well, you know my critique of your lineup last night when I saw it, I said you rostered 3 players from Minnesota.
I thought they would look. I was still on the under, but I thought they would. Well, first off, I just figured they actually. I mean, what's his name? The Western Michigan transfer. I'm drawing a blank on his name. Crooms actually did all right. I feel like whereas Tyler, I thought the Minnesota's run game would not miss a beat with Ibrahim. Remember, Ibrahim got injured with like a torn ACL years ago.
They would bring in like the fourth stringer. He would still do well.
So, and I thought the clear weakness on Nebraska was their defensive line. Nebraska's defensive line played a lot better than I thought it would. So, I ate shit there. The Rocky Harvey did good for me though. Not Rocky Harvey. RJ Harvey. Rocky Harvey's a former Illinois running back.
Anyway, and then last night, second place. I finished second, so I finished in the money last night. All right, that's the rear view. Let's move forward.
Yes, Friday night action. Bring it on, folks. Let's jump into it because I feel like obviously you have 6 games, I believe. You got Howard, Eastern Michigan, Central Michigan, Michigan State, Miami, Ohio, Miami, Florida. Then you have the Georgia Tech, Louisville game.
Just 5 games on the slate. Howard, Eastern Michigan was not included.
Okay.
Haters.
Okay. Yeah. Bastards. Then you have Kansas, Missouri State, and then Stanford, Hawaii. So there we go. At quarterback, I'm curious. First off, do you have 2 quarterbacks?
I do. And actually, my whole team is basically 2 teams. I have a lot of guys on Kansas and a lot of guys on Hawaii and not much else. So to start that off, Jalen Daniels, we talked about him earlier. He is playing. I don't see how you not roster Jalen Daniels.
It's like you're looking at my fantasy football team.
Can I ask you why is Noah Kim, the quarterback for Michigan State, the highest priced quarterback? That baffles me.
It's like these people don't know what they're doing.
I've never seen Kim play, but because he hasn't played much in his whole career. So how is Noah Kim more expensive than Jalen Daniels or Shager Bombs or Plummer?
The only thing that it doesn't make any sense to me. But with Jalen Daniels, the only thing I can think of is that they'll be up by so much they move to Jason Bean,
especially if he's not 100%. I mean, I think he is 100%.
Yeah,
so,
I think he is 100%.
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance that the fourth quarter goes to Bean, sure, but I just don't see how or who's going to spend up $9.4K for Noah Kim.
Yeah, especially there's a chance that if they get up big, they have 2 quarterbacks they want to work out Michigan State. You need that game to stay close. Terrell Furman saying, NC Nick, your room gets a lot of light. Never knew. He's got the West Sunset.
Our usual evening pods. Yeah, I got, is that West Sunset? I think it is. There it is, 41. But anyway, so Jalen Daniels, and then this is a big question. Did you roster Shager Bombs or did you go Plummer? You probably went Plummer.
I went with my fantasy football team, baby. Jack Plummer is a man, on a mission. He's gonna scorch this this Yellow Jacket defense. So I did not go Shager Bombs, although I thought about doing Shager Bombs. But yeah, I went Jack Plummer, and I feel like those 2. I think Plummer has I don't know. You can make a case. Is Shager Bombs more expensive than Plummer?
Shager Bombs is $600 more expensive.
That was the difference for me. I didn't have that money.
I went back and forth between the 2. I mean, Shager Bombs he's went over 300 against Vandy in week 0. He's playing the Stanford team that returns 3 defensive starters from last year. Those 3 starters, 2 D linemen, 1 linebacker. So that's a whole new secondary that Shager's going up against. So ultimately, I thought his matchup was better. I think Georgia Tech probably has a better defense than Stanford. So I spent $600 more for Shager.
Buddy, this is Brahms' first game at Louisville. This is like a match. This is like, this is gasoline next to, C4 and a stick of matches.
You expect him to come in there and that offense to just put up 40 in game 1?
I do.
Really?
Yeah. I fully do. I think that they're going to drop 40 points.
Obviously, we know Plummer played for him at Purdue, so so he's very familiar with the offense. But that doesn't mean the rest of the receivers. I mean, their top receiver is projected to be the Georgia State transfer. They have a ton of new faces there.
Let me ask you something. How did Charlie? Was it Charlie Jones?
Charlie Jones.
Charlie Jones. I almost said Charlie
on the Bengals now.
Yeah, Charlie Jones. In game 1 after coming over from Iowa, which is like a foreign country compared to Purdue. How did he do?
I think that first game was against Penn State. He did pretty well.
Lit him up. He lit him up. So don't worry.
I expect that game to both teams to be in the 20s. And the over under of that game is 49.5. So Vegas is kind of with me. The over under of Stanford Hawaii game is 55. So more points expected there.
I am bet the over in the Louisville game right now. Right now, folks.
All right, and I see a side bet here too. Plummer versus Shaker bombs.
Let's go.
All right. So there we have our quarterbacks. What do you got with running backs? What are you working with?
Running backs. Look, I only did 2.
Same here.
And they're both playing for Kansas because Kansas, you know what they do? They run the fuck out of the football.
Yeah.
And Heshaw and Neal, both my running backs. I know together that's 12.6K. Folks, I think Neal's going to have 100 yards in the first quarter. And then they're probably going to sit him. And Heshaw will have another 100-yard game. This happened at Buffalo. Do you remember when Leipold was at Buffalo and he was playing in the MAC? He would run. They had 2,000-yard running backs, and the third running back had like 500, like over 500 yards for the season.
What was his name? Jarrett Williams was that his name?
No, Jarrett Patterson.
Jarrett Patterson. Thank you.
And then it was Kevin
Marks.
Yes. And then they had a third guy. I think his name was McDuffie, who's currently on the Kansas roster, I believe.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, play the music with Neal. I'm there. I agree. I contemplated rostering Heshaw too, but ultimately I didn't. I went with E.J. Smith, the only non-Kansas or Hawaii player, and I think E.J. Smith, I just think he's going to be almost the entire offense for Stanford. And
son of Emmitt Smith, folks.
That's right.
You don't know.
Now Vandy did a good job. Hawaii did a good job stopping Vandy's run week 0, but I think I think they're emphasizing the passing game this year. So I think part of that was by design from Vandy. So I'm taking a shot on E.J. Smith for 5.7K.
Yeah, and if you watch Sac State football last year, like I did, they were undefeated in the regular season. Troy Taylor, Stanford's current coach, was the head coach there, and they had Cameron Scattaboo. And he scored a lot of touchdowns, so it makes a lot of sense there.
And I guess I'm a little concerned at Casey Filkins, the other running back, the fullback. He might get some touches too, but I just think E.J. Smith is just much more talented.
Yeah. Okay. He's very good. He's coming off a bad injury though, isn't he?
He only played 2, but that was early. That was early last year. He only played week 1 and week 2, and in those games, he ran for $118 against Colgate and 88 against USC, and then got hurt. So he's fully healthy now. It's been almost a full year. I'm not too concerned about that.
Yeah, fair. Let's jump over and talk about the wideouts because I have 4 of them.
Same here.
My top price wideout. Let me see here. Is
Jamari Thrash?
No, because I didn't have enough money for him. I went with Huggins Bruce. I loaded up on Amari Huggins Bruce, who had 31 catches for 365 yards and 2 scores a season ago. He's the second highest priced receiver. And I also went with Callaway, the Tennessee transfer. Jimmy Callaway, I think his name is. That's coming into Louisville. I just, here's my first thought was Kevin Coleman, the Jackson State transfer for Louisville. But when I saw how low on the depth chart he was, I was surprised because this is a guy that I drafted in our fantasy league. So I'm going to take a shot on Huggins, Bruce, and Callaway. It's a little bit of they got so many good wideouts that I feel like this is a little bit of a gamble.
Especially not seeing them play for Louisville before. You don't know who's Plummer's favorite target is going to be. So you went double stack with your quarterback. It makes sense. If I'm going to critique my own roster, I don't have any of that Louisville passing game. And we know Braum gets receivers into open spaces and puts up
Dude,
big time
Charlie
passing
Jones
stats.
had like double the amount of targets as the second leading receiver in college football last year.
Yeah, but what I did, I'll just group these two guys together. So I took Ashlock and McBride.
Me too.
Okay.
That's my next two.
So they both had, I think, 9 targets. Both had very nice week 0 games. I guess my concern is that it's a very small sample size. It's just one game, but they both looked pretty damn good in week 0. So I think they can do it again, probably against a secondary that's worse than Vandy's. So that basically that's your squad, right?
Yeah, that is. You have my whole team then. So
my last two guys. So I double stacked Shager bombs, and then I also double stacked Jalen Daniels. Hopefully they can pass the ball a little bit because I took Lawrence Arnold, the Kansas wide receiver, and then the tight end Mason Fairchild, both capable of big games themselves too.
Certainly. And Terrell Furman's in the chat. Shout out to him, host of the NBA Gambling Podcast and WNBA Gambling Podcast. Says Cooley, the former Louisville running back, plays for Georgia Tech tonight. Maybe he's seeing some action there.
I was curious if you were going to roster the Louisville running back. Was it Jawar Johnson? Is that his name?
Yeah. I mean, look, he's probably going to be nasty, but I just still think they don't like at Purdue. He didn't commit to the run enough.
Yeah, that's ultimately I thought maybe they're just going to pass it too much and not. Yeah, and Terrell, we'll tweet out the DFS link here when the show's over. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I can't wait to watch that game. Next up, so that's our what's our battle of bourbon here?
The quarterbacks. Let me jot this down. It's Shager bombs against Plummer.
Let's go.
It should be noted, too. I went 2-0 against you with side bets in week 0. Thank you very much.
Part of my handicap was they're rushing Rourke back a little too early. Part of my handicap. I feel like I should get points for that.
Yeah, technically, like in the past, if a player got hurt, we made that side bet null and void. You do have a good point here because there was always the chance of Rourke getting hurt because maybe he wasn't 100% healthy. So, I don't know. If you want to take credit for that one, I'm willing to say.
You're saying that's cheap, though. You're saying that's a cheap
charity case.
Oh my gosh, disgusting, folks. 16 Ohm says I have Jack Plummer as well.
Okay,
Jack Plummer.
All right.
Look, let's get over and talk about Saturday morning because the lineup is incredible. Folks, but before we do that, I want to tell you that the College Football Experience DFS show is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. August is over. Shit. You got 7 days to get your draft, your fantasy football draft shit together. All right. Over on Underdog Fantasy. Get championship ready for your home league by trying out Best Ball on Underdog Fantasy. All you have to do is one live snake draft, no waivers, no trades. You set it, you forget it, and boom, Underdog does the rest. They have the largest fantasy football contest of all time with $15 million in total prizes up for grabs, including an absurd $3 million going to the winner. Do you have what it takes to win it all, people? The time is now. Like I said, doors shutting September 7th. Visit UnderdogFantasy.com or find them in the App Store and sign up with the promo code SGPN to get your first deposit doubled up to $100. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by Sports Gambling Podcast Patreon. Yes, SGP Patreon. Sign up for the Patreon to get access to exclusive contests, including NFL win totals contest with a $1,000 first place prize. This week's weekly patron pick'em is all week 1 college football. The prize is a cornhole board, which is perfect for any college football tailgate. Don't tell me you don't need a cornhole board. Everybody needs a fucking cornhole board, all right? The Patreon is also a great way to support us, the network, SGPN, and fight back against corporate gambling, those hacks. SportsGamblingPodcast.com/Patreon. That's SportsGamblingPodcast.com/Patreon. All right, we jump over to the Saturday morning lineup. There's a shit ton of games. Anything you want to say here, NC Nick?
This was my hardest one to put together because there was so many players I liked. I went back and forth so many times. Finally settled on my favorite roster, and I only went one quarterback on this one.
Nope, not old Dundee.
You went back to your standard, huh?
This is probably my favorite.
It might not be my favorite just because I couldn't fit everybody into this lineup that I wanted to, just because I didn't have enough spots. There were so many I thought fair or underpriced guys that I wanted, but you can only roster so many. So anyway, who's your top quarterback?
My top quarterback is Michael Penix.
Play the music.
Oh, look. I mean, I think Boise State's a good defense, but I just think they're running into a buzzsaw. That they're going to get theirs regardless. So,
did anybody watch Michael Penix last year? Tell me why he's the 10th highest quarterback.
It doesn't. That's what I'm
there's
saying.
9 more expensive quarterbacks than Penix. Really?
They're phoning this in. They're not paying attention. And we're gonna take, we're gonna reap the benefits, as John Lovett says in Wedding Crashers.
Wedding Singer, I think.
Singer, yeah. Okay. My second quarterback, because you don't have a second quarterback. Prime time.
Shadur.
Yes.
Yeah.
Look, I think even though both teams run the same offense, so there's a chance that there's less scoring than people think. I still think Colorado's edge in this matchup is I think Colorado is way better. You heard me right. I think they're better at the wide receiver position. That matchup of their wideouts against TCU's corners, I think, is a huge edge to Colorado. And I look for, whether it's Travis Hunter, whether it's a few other guys that I'll mention in a second. But I like the play. I think he's gonna get his. Another thing is he has wheels a little bit, so he can get some rushing yards.
It's a bold call. He's $7K. The price isn't. I mean, it's a fair price for him, but it's a bold call.
I was actually gonna go when I saw he was cheaper. Who was I gonna go originally? I was originally gonna go someone else, but when I saw I could save money, I think I was originally going to go. I think Ewers. And then when I saw I could save that much money and get someone that I think is going to be similar.
Yeah.
Stat wise, because Ewers, they might pull him for Arch Manning or the other guy.
I thought about Ewers. I thought Joe Milton for 8.7K was very attractive. I mean, obviously Bo Nix is going to have a huge game, but at 10.1K, I was like, man, there's so many players who can put up lots of points. I thought that was a little too high for Nix. So, and
another thing is when do they pull Nix? Like you have to ask yourself that stuff because in a matchup where they have Texas Tech on deck, you don't want them to get injured against Portland State when they're up 56-0 in the third quarter. So,
exactly. That's why I did not roster any Duck. But all right, so we're moving on. I got 4 running backs.
I have 3.
My top running back is the best running back in the country. And I know there's game script concerns because Ole Miss might be up big on Mercer early. But whenever I see Quinshon Judkins at 6.6K, I have to roster him because he could go for 100 yards and 3 touchdowns in the first half.
I mean, I can't argue he's a fucking stud. So I didn't roster him because they're playing Mercer, but you make a ton of sense. And Mercer didn't look very good the other day. Actually, if anything, though, their defensive side of the ball look a lot better than their offensive side of the ball. But still, they're going to get fucking work.
Granted, who are they playing?
Yeah, that's true. Fair. I didn't roster him, but I mean, it's almost like back in the day when you play fantasy football and you would, someone's got Barry Sanders. It's like you can't say anything. You're just like, okay, yeah, he's very good. Good play.
I hear you. Who's your top dog?
My top guy. I think I went value. I'm going to take you to Norman, Oklahoma. Basically, my fantasy football lineup. There's a reason why I was in love with my fantasy football lineup here. And I'm going to take you to what I think is going to be Arkansas State. I think is going to be a disaster. So Marcus Major, Jeff Levy's offense. I think Marcus Major gets his against the shittiest team in the Sun Belt, perhaps, in Arkansas State.
I like it. There were so many attractive options at running back. You had to pick one of them. That's a fine play, too. Terrell is asking a good question in the chat. He says, is there a competitive advantage in college DFS rostering 2 quarterbacks opposed to 1, or is it just preference? I would say that I think that, most people draft 2. And usually quarterbacks are the highest scoring players. But if you want to set yourself apart, sometimes that's when maybe you don't go with 2. You go with another running back or another receiver. So ultimately it comes down to just personal preference and the slate. The slate is the big thing, What do you think about
Yeah.
that?
No, that makes sense. I think, whatever you see on the board, but I normally like if there's two good quarterbacks that are going to put stats up, I think that's the play. But sometimes you get like a weeknight where you're like, nah,
Right. Right.
So there's more value, but especially like on a Saturday slate where you can grab everybody, I think you do two quarterbacks. So,
all right.
Yeah.
Moving on. My second highest running back is 5.7K. Caleb Johnson, Iowa Hawkeyes, going up against a very bad Utah State running game. And I think this game's going to be close enough where I expect him to play pretty much the entire game. He's the RB1 for Iowa. I also expect probably 100 yards, a couple touchdowns.
Bad Utah State run defense is what you meant to say.
Oh, what did I say?
Running game.
Oh, sorry, run defense, yes.
Yeah. And Utah State's best defensive players all bouncing in the portal too. So I don't mind that play. Are you concerned that if McNamara, even though they say he's playing, if he doesn't play, that Utah State just loads the box?
I mean, they're probably going to load the box anyway. We're talking about Iowa football. And even if they load the box, do they have the size and talent to stop the Iowa running game? Granted, like most of the time when you roster players, you want to roster players on good offenses, and that's not Iowa. So that's the gamble, is that if Iowa only scores 2 touchdowns this game and they win like 20-3 or something, then his upside is certainly limited. But I thought the price was right too.
Yeah. No, you're right. And okay. Well, I think it's a solid play. I can't knock it too much here, but I will take you to I'm going to take you. Look, I did Oklahoma. I was only fair if I honor the other team in the Red River Shootout. That's the Texas Longhorns and their freshman running back, Cedric Baxter. I think Texas has one of the best offensive lines in the country. I think Rice does not have a good defense. So, Jimmy, Cedric Baxter at 5.5K. I think he has a big day. I know they have a couple different backs, but I think all of them are going to have big days.
Yeah. So, and this is maybe our side bet here, because I also rostered a Texas running back for $200 cheaper. I rostered Jonathan Brooks, and it's going to be a 1-2 punch for sure. But it looks like Brooks, I think, is at least going to get the start. That doesn't necessarily mean he's going to get more touches.
They're paying homage, I think,
to the guy who's been around longer. Who knows? I think both guys get touches. I saved $200, and I don't think I had. No, you know what? I could roster Baxter also, but I'm going to go with Brooks. So this makes up for a perfect side bet. Baxter versus Brooks. I think the Texas running game is going to run just all over Rice's poor run defense. I said it correct that time.
Yeah. All right. I have a third running back. You do too, right?
I have. I've already named 3 of them, but I also have one more. So go ahead.
Well, I'm taking you to what is this? Nashville, where Jabari Small, the running back for the Tennessee Volunteers, is about to have a big ass day because they're going to. I predict Tennessee will score 49 or more in that game.
I think you're probably right. And Small is one of those guys that I had him in my lineup at certain points, but he got chopped. He got chopped on the cutting room floor. Is that what they call it? I like to play though.
Squirrel White though. I could have done Squirrel White, and I was thinking about that, but I feel like there's going to be a shit ton of points.
Yeah, I mean, Tennessee's got a couple running backs, kind of like Texas. They're probably going to get an equal amount of carries. I like the play. Squirrel White was also somebody on my roster.
You think I should play Squirrel White though? Because they use him kind of like as that hybrid.
I think his upside's higher.
Yeah, fuck it. Let me switch over. I need a squirrel, as they said in Christmas Vacation. Let me jump over to get Squirrel. Either way, I think there's a lot of points in that matchup. Sign me up for it. Where are you going next?
All right, my next running back, my last one, my fourth guy, is also probably part of a 2-man platoon. But everybody thinks Trey Sanders, the Alabama transfer, is going to come into TCU and be the lead running back. I think it's going to be Amani Bailey. Now, I'm kind of waiting to see if I can see a depth chart that hasn't been released yet, but I think Amani Bailey's better. And I think he could be in store for a nice game up against your Buffaloes. And at 5.4K, that's the direction I went.
No, I like that play because to me, there's one area that jumps out as a glaring weakness for Colorado when I evaluate them. It's probably the run defense. I think the pass defense might actually be pretty damn good. They might have the luxury of being able to load the box because their corners are going to be so athletic. But
put both corners on islands. Don't have to worry about. Yep.
Yeah. But I think still, I think that's the clear weakness. So it makes sense to fade that. So I like that play. Let's talk a little bit about wideouts, huh?
Let's do it.
My top wideout. I'm going back to Austin, Texas. Xavier Worthy. Look,
play
folks,
the music.
Yeah. Let's go. Bet me over on this game. This have you seen this total, Nick? It's at 58.5. I think Texas is scoring 56 or in the 50s.
Yeah, and I think Rice is good enough to at least get 10.
Yeah, they have McCaffrey. They have 5-star QB and JT Daniels. I actually think they might get in the 20s, right? So
when do we drop the 5-star label from him?
Yeah, no, he's 5 when he transfers to a 5th school. When he plays only 4 games this year and then transfers next year to I could see him at like UNLV. Anyway, let's jump on over to my next wideout. Then is the likes of I'll take you to Fort Worth, Texas. Jimmy Horn, who I think is a dog for Colorado.
I know you've been talking him up, so that's your stack with Shadur.
Yeah, he's a stud, and I think he's a really underrated wideout. If you watch the South Florida tape from last year, you'll see who is this guy. So that's my second wideout. How about you?
All right, so my top receiver is a stack with my quarterback Penix. I didn't have the money to get Romeo Dundee. I did have the money to get Washington's second best receiver. That's Jalen McMillan for 6.9K. I mean, what do you want me to say about the Washington passing attack? You want to get pieces.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they have probably the second best wide receiving core probably the best other than Ohio State. My final guy on this roster, taking you back to Nashville, Tennessee, because Brew McCoy, speaking of 5 stars,
play the music again.
4.8K? What's going on here? Well, Tennessee's up 42-0 in the 42-3 in the third quarter. Sorry, Terrell.
We're trying to win GBO Farmers back over. Speaking nicely of Tennessee.
Yeah. Just don't root for any other SEC teams. We're gonna have to go back. All right.
I do like Squirrel White better than Brew McCoy. Again, I didn't have money for both, so I went with the cheaper option. I think both are good options.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm going to say he has permission to root for a SEC West school.
Okay, fair enough.
Can't be Alabama, that's on the schedule every year. If he says I like Ole Miss or Mississippi State, LSU, A&M, Arkansas, I'd say, all right, pass. I'll give you the pass. All right, let's get on over to Saturday night, man.
My bet on that slate is Baxter versus Brooks. All right, Saturday night. Kind of love my lineup here. Curious how you feel about your lineup, but I kind of feel pretty good about it. I did 2 quarterbacks. How about you? I feel really good about it. I got 2 quarterbacks, and they're actually playing the same game.
Ooh.
Take a guess as to what game it is.
The game in Houston, Texas.
You are correct, my friend. My top quarterback is Donovan Smith, Houston, 7.4K.
I thought about rostering him. I didn't, but I like it. And those fucking Houston Oilers uniforms that they're wearing,
fire. Well, last year in this game, the 2 quarterbacks combined for over 650 total yards of offense and 8 touchdowns. So I expect there to be a lot of points in Houston come Saturday night.
Yeah. Well, I have the other quarterback you're talking about.
Frank Captain Harris.
Yes.
7.1K. Hell yeah.
Yes. All right. Captain Harris. Let's go. I think they'll be down. So I think they have to battle back. You hear me? I'm on. I can't fade those Houston Oilers uniforms.
Love it.
So, and I know they have injuries at wideout. I trust Captain Harris. All right. Captain Harris gonna get it done. Harris, delivers. Even when Mahoney wasn't in those movies, still Captain Harris delivered. All right.
No love for Jalen Milroe, who was just announced a starter.
No way.
9.6K.
No way, because all three are going to play, I think.
Yeah. And Drake May, too expensive at 10.1.
Too expensive. If anything, you play Rattler. I pull Patty C there and say Rattler for that game if you are adamant on getting someone from that game. But my other quarterback. Look, do you ever shop at Wegmans?
Very nice grocery store.
Yeah, very, very. I don't have them on the West, but are they as expensive as like Whole Foods?
I would say no. I would say a notch below that.
Okay,
it's expensive, but it's quality.
Yeah, Whole Foods, you get like two peaches, and it's like that'll be $34. Like, oh, okay. But yeah,
buying peaches.
I'm buying into Road Rash face. All right. The offense will fly. All right, as some say. So give me Texas A&M, even though they're going up against my boy Danny Gonzalez, who fights dirty. And give me Connor Wegman at $8,500.
I like the play. The matchup is right. Game script is a concern. Does A&M just rely on the run, or do they air it out? That's the question mark. I thought he was a little overpriced personally. Yeah, but he can still put up a fine game. So ultimately, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I think he's fine. All right, get the fuck out of here. I got 3 running backs. How about you?
I do. My top guy. I'm not going to take Milroe or any of the Bama quarterbacks, but I am going to take J.C. McClellan, the top tied running back for 6.8K.
Great minds think alike.
He may be a popular pick.
Nick Saban said he's going to have a stronger emphasis on running the ball. He looks at Georgia winning national championships with fucking walk-ons, and he's like, what am I doing with these top 10 NFL picks? They're not winning me shit. All right. Well, sort of. And he's saying, you know what? I need to just go back to the run game. And I think they're going to fucking Middle Tennessee's run defense. Goodbye.
Yep.
So we see
you could even roster one of the backups also, because I think it's going to be a major blowout, and the backup running backs are probably are better than anything Middle Tennessee has. So you could even roster some of the backups, but the safe play is to spend the 6.8K.
Your second highest price running back.
I think we're both a fan of this guy, even though he was kind of run out of Tallahassee, and that is Trayshawn Ward. Oh, come on.
Where? I mean, the whole offensive line of Kansas State is back. And I know SEMO's a ranked FCS opponent, but I don't give a shit. This is how Kansas State wins that game. They just bully you. And I think Trayshawn Ward's going to get his in this game.
I think the pivot play would go DJ Giddens, who's the other running back, for 5.5K. But ultimately, I just think Ward is more explosive and more talented.
Agreed. Which then we jump to, if you have my third running back, I'm turning off the show.
Well, you know who has a bad run defense? The North Carolina Tar Heels.
Oh, okay.
I'm going Dakarian Joyner, South Carolina's RB1 for only 5.5K. If my prediction of this game is correct, where South Carolina wins because they're better in the trenches, that means the Gamecock running game goes wild. And I think Joyner could be in store for a nice game, and the price is right.
Interesting. Okay. I don't have any more money, so I don't know if this is our battle of bourbon, but look, I mentioned Wegmans. Maybe before you go to Wegmans, you hit the old Dairy Queen. I have a classic story. When I was in Missoula, Montana, girl that I knew, she had been hyping up this restaurant forever in Missoula. And I was like, okay, let's go to this. She took me to a fucking Dairy Queen. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? It's like this for ice cream? And she's like, no, you get a sandwich here. I'm like, from Dairy Queen. This is what you've been telling me about for years. It was like you had no idea that this thing existed all over the planet. Anyway, DQ James for the Wyoming Cowboys. You know he averaged over 8 yards a rush last year?
I like it.
And Texas Tech's run defense, not known for their run defense. So for $4,300, I'm bargain shopping at the Dairy Queen.
I thought about it. Nice play. Can't argue with it.
All right, let's hop on over to wideouts because we still have a Sunday lineup to get. This is a long episode. Wideouts. Who's your top wideout?
Ultimately, I had money to spend here, so I didn't roster this guy originally. But with the extra money, I decided I think he's the highest receiver on the slate. I'm gonna go back to that Gamecock offense and go Antoine Wells Jr. 6.9K.
He's a stud.
He is.
JMU had that guy. Folks don't even realize he didn't even play at JMU in the FBS. He was an FCS player.
Wow.
So I'm saying when people talk about sometimes these FCS transfers, like Jared Verse was like the best defensive player on Florida State last year. Antoine Wells was a fucking beast. He had didn't he have the most yards after reception? I feel like out of anyone in the country last year. I think he did.
I'll take your word for it. But all I know is that he's good, and UNC's defense isn't.
True, but I'm on the other side of that. You know whose defense isn't good either? South Carolina's.
Fair,
right? And I'm on Nate McCullum, the Georgia Tech transfer, especially knowing that Walker, the Kent State transfer, the NCAA's deemed that he can't play, but they can let JT Daniels play at every goddamn university in America. McCullum's going to be their number one.
Try to find that depth chart. I thought he was an or, meaning that at that receiver's position he may not be on the field 100% of the time.
Don't piss me off, Mac Brown. Don't you fucking piss me off, Mac Brown.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, UNC's passing attack has been very good, and their number one receiver has done well the last few years. It might just be tough trying to find out who that number one is going to be.
I'm rolling the dice. He's actually not my highest paid wideout, so I just stayed in that game just because you were playing somebody. So, okay. Who is your second highest price wideout?
Well, I think if you roster Captain Harris, you got to go with the UTSA receiver. So Joshua Cephas, 5.7K, especially with Franklin.
Playing?
Huh?
Is he playing?
He is. He has been practicing and is near 100% as of August 15th. So I think he's good to go.
See, I stayed.
It's the other guy, DeCorian Clark.
That's right. Cephas. Okay. I stayed away because
I think DeCorian Clark probably won't play.
Okay. Interesting. I mean that I have a wide receiver in that game, and I believe his name is Matthew Golden? What is his first name?
The Houston receiver. I was considering taking him too. It is Matthew Golden.
Yeah, Matthew Golden. Look, I think Houston's a little bit better than what people think. I think they're going to be able to move that ball. So at 5.6K, since you're staying, and this is still this is not my highest price wideout. This is just because you keep hitting these games. Matthew Golden, I think they're going to be able to score points. Manjak's not a bad play either.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Golden was in my lineup, but I had like $1,400 extra dollars, so I switched him with Antoine Wells. So that tells you that I do like the play.
There you go. So I only have one wideout left. You too, right?
Yes.
Name yours.
My guy's on Texas A&M.
Mine too.
Now, it's probably not the same guy. I'm going with, I think he's one of the most electric players in the country with the ball in his hands, and he was hurt most of last year. And Jimbo in the offseason said he wants him to play the Deebo Samuel role. That means carries, catches, returns kicks. Anaya Smith, 4.6K. Very underpriced.
I like it. That's a good value play. My guy's my most expensive wideout. And I was at a game in College Station last year, and instantly I was like, that guy's better than everybody else on the field.
Evan Stewart.
Yes. And
like it.
He's just a complete stud. With Bobby Petrino there, I expect those numbers to skyrocket this year. So for 6K, I did Evan Stewart. And that concludes Sunday nights. Oh, you think we're done? No, we're not.
Do we have a side bet in this slate?
I think we got to go DQ, even though I don't feel. I mean, I feel
that price point is way too off. Who was your cheapest receiver?
I think it was Golden.
Anaya Smith versus Golden.
Sure, let's go.
All right, done.
Let's jump over to Sunday. That concludes Saturday night. We jump into Sunday. And remember, we're going to tweet out Monday. But I'm excited about my Sunday lineup because obviously we have 3 games on Sunday. Thank you. We would like 5, but it's a step in the right direction, college football. And if you look at the lineups, it is Northwestern, Rutgers, which I have no one in that lineup.
I actually have one player in that game, surprisingly.
Then the second game is San Jose State, Oregon State. And then the finale is LSU Florida State.
Just quick on that. The over-under in Oregon State San Jose is 55. Over-under in LSU Florida State is 56.5. Over-under in Northwestern Rutgers 39.5. So it's smart not rostering anybody in that game.
True. I have 2 quarterbacks. You?
Yeah, and they happen to be in the same game. You can probably guess who they are.
Mine are not in the same game.
You taking DJU or are you taking Cordero?
I have Cordero.
Up against your vaunted Oregon State best defense in the Pac-12 last year?
Yeah, they're on the road, and I feel like San Jose State has, like I touched on last week, they returned their entire offensive line. They're starting running back, and, well, even though last week they didn't have one of their best wideouts, I just think this offense is going to be very good this year. So even though San Jose State is a good defense, I expect Cordero. And another thing is he's dual threat. He can get like 50, 60 yards on the ground too. So I like it.
You save 1.2K. He's cheaper than Jordan Travis. But so I went Jaden Daniels and Jordan Travis, which I take it you probably went Jaden Daniels, huh?
No.
Wow. Okay.
And my logic was this. Brian Kelly's got a knack. So from what I understand, that quarterback race was incredibly close, right? So even though I think Daniels is one of the best quarterbacks in college football, I do think if he makes a stupid throw or something, Brian Kelly's got a history of doing this at like 3 different schools of pulling the quarterback for the next quarterback, right? So that made me a little paranoid. Another thing is I have LSU winning this game. It's one of my locks. So I think Florida State will be coming from behind. The only thing that concerns me is that Jordan Travis gets injured often, but I took Jordan Travis as my second quarterback at 84K.
I took both of them. I think both of them could have some pretty big games. I thought it was pretty clear. I mean, I don't know why DJU is priced higher than Jordan Travis. That to me was
another thing that's
who they're playing.
Yeah, but DJU, they have 3 quarterbacks that they like. So if they go up double digits, I fully expect them to kind of be, throwing the other guys in the mix.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you saved some coin at quarterbacks. I'm curious as to how the rest of your lineup stacks up against mine. How many running backs did you get?
I did 3.
I only did 2.
Well, one was unbelievable that I can't believe he's priced at 5,700. Like, I cannot believe he's priced at 5,700.
Play the music.
This is the best. This is the best deal you're going to get. Damian Martinez at 5,700 against the San Jose State defense that's lost everybody from a season ago.
Martinez had 6 straight games last year going over 100 yards.
He's a fucking stud. I don't even think you're that crazy to play the backup who's good too. But and I'm drawing a blank on his name.
Fenwick,
right now.
Is that his name?
Yeah, Fenwick. Yeah. This is you got to play him. You got to play him on the slate. Like to me, 5,700. This is a must play.
Agreed. And he's the only guy I have from that game.
No, I actually have 2 others from that game.
Oh, okay.
There was a Dixie State transfer named Quali Conley. Did you see what he did against USC?
Yeah, I think he ran for 100 yards, right? Or
6
damn
rushes,
near.
6 rushes, 108 yards, 18 yards a rush, right? I think Brent Brennan's probably kicking himself watching the film and saying, why did I not give him the ball more?
By the way, in case you didn't get the memo, it's Utah Tech.
Yeah, I know. I just like to say Dixie State.
I know that.
It pisses off the fans, and I enjoy pissing off the fans. But I also went with Kyrie Robinson. I just think the fact I did. I just think the fact you return your entire offensive line. I think this is going to be one of the best. I have them as a lock over.
All off season, you're telling me how good that Oregon State D is.
Yeah, but I still think that's a road game for them. I think they're both capable of scoring touchdowns, and I think Conley's price at 4,700 is just a steal.
Well, maybe we know what our side bet is, and I really don't like it that much. My other running back is 4.8K, and he's on Northwestern. But I actually think he's a pretty solid running back, and he's probably the only thing Northwestern has that's worth a damn. So it's strictly a volume play. It's Cam Porter for 4.8K.
Cam Porter. I do like Cam Porter, but I mean, bring it on. It's going to rush for 12 yards.
Let it be known that I don't like this side bet, but obviously he's more expensive than Conley, so I could make the switch, but I'll stay pat, and that'll be the side bet here, and I'm done with running backs.
Yeah. Me too. And let's jump over to the wideouts and close this thing out, because my top price wideout is $6,100, and I'm taking a shot on Brian Thomas for LSU.
I took a different LSU receiver. I took their wide receiver one, Malik Neighbors, who came on last year towards the end like gangbusters. This guy's going to be a first-round draft pick. I think he's one of the best receivers in the nation.
For sure. I'm not going to battle you in a battle of bourbon there. But I stay in that game, and I have Keon Coleman, who I think is a fucking stud, for $6K. That is my second wideout.
This is fun because I have Johnny Wilson, Florida State's wide receiver one.
I have a bottle of bourbon on this one if you want to do it.
Wilson versus Coleman? Bring it on.
Let's go. Let's go, folks. We're making deals over here.
You're keeping track at home. We got 5 bottles of bourbon on the line. And then just to finish it off, I have 2 guys left. I went with the tight ends for both Florida State and LSU because I think they're both really good tight ends.
They are.
You got Mason Taylor, 4.5K for LSU, and Jaheim Bell, the South Carolina transfer, 3.5K for Florida State.
I only have one guy left to give out. He's $5,900. I like the tight end play, though. His name is Slade Bolden, and god damn it, this guy's electric. It's Quadre Ishmael 2.0. All right? Actually, no, he's much smaller. Have you seen this guy, Slade Bolden?
Is that the guy that was at Alabama?
No, he's at Oregon State.
There was a little white receiver at Alabama a couple years ago.
There was a Bolden, but I don't think it's Slade Bolden. Am I fucking this up right now? I feel like my names have been off today. Slade Bolden is the guy for Oregon State, right?
Slade Bolden. He was on Alabama.
That's right. I'm fucking this up. What is my guy for Oregon State? He's a fucking stud.
That would be
Silas
Bolden.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dude, this guy, have you seen this fucking guy? This is they run him a lot too. This guy's fast as fuck. He's basically like Dante Hall. So he had 23 catches for 305 yards a season ago, 4 touchdowns, but also he was in the ground game. I feel like later in the season as the game went on,
he ran for over 100 yards on the year too.
Yeah,
I'm not as familiar with the Beavers as you are, so I'll have to take your word on that play there.
He's basically like Percy Harvin. They have Percy Harvin on Oregon State.
So he's probably a lot better than Slade Bolden.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Silas Bolden. Fucking Slade Bolden. All these names. And look, I'm going to beat your ass. So come play DFS with us, all right? We're going to tweet it out at TCE on SGPN on Twitter or X, and also NC Nick's personal account, NC__NICK. NC Nick, make sure you tag TCE, because if I don't see it. So make sure you tag TCE on SGPN. And we invite you to come play. So folks, do that. Subscribe to the College Football Experience, because I'm live tomorrow morning. Be pregame with Terrell Furman. We're going to be talking about our best plays, and also later tonight, actually in about 2.5 hours, I will be breaking down the FCS Week 1. So join us there. And yeah, check out the College Football Experience. Check out the FCS College Football Experience. Check out the Big 12 Experience. Check out the College Basketball Experience. Check out the College Baseball Experience. Let's go. All right. Check out the Sports Gambling Podcast as well, as they do all 32 NFL teams. Solo podcast reaching every team in the land. Until later today, this is the College Football Experience, DFS style. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here.
We can really rock shoes. Did you know to get the books we written?